everyone. Welcome to another interview with Tracey, because we've got another class coming up. Very excited. This time we're doing Module 9, Matrix Dynamics. Now, if you have never heard of Tracey, where have you been? But Tracey, do you want to give a quick overview yourself?
Absolutely. Hello, Eloise. Hi, everyone. Great to be back. Great to be doing another class with Eloise and especially Module 9. I'm a senior instructor at the BodyTalk system, and I've been teaching since 2009. And I have a multidisciplinary practice, but BodyTalk is by far my standard go-to tool that I use with every one of my clients. I love to share this information with students around the world, and it's exciting to see the direction of this system and really of this paradigm of medicine as we move out of the pandemic and back into normal life. We really bring with us, I think, so many gifts from the experience of working more remotely with clients and clients becoming more accustomed to telehealth and reaching out into new directions of supporting their health and their wellness. So I'm thrilled to be in this field of practice, and as always, really excited to be with you, Eloise, and introducing another course.
Yay! I'm very excited. I have to say, although I may say this about a lot of things, Module 9 might be one of my favourites.
I think we all have a tendency to see the gifts actually in every one of the courses, because I feel as an instructor of this system, every one of them is like, a kid that you love this one for this reason and this one for this reason. And you can't really pick one because they're all amazing in their own right. And I have to agree, this is a really exceptional class for bringing in some important concepts about relationships in the internal environment of our microcosm, and of course in our relationship to our environment and the people and experiences in it.
Yeah, so good to lead into what do we cover in Module 9, because matrix dynamics, what does that really mean?
I know it's another one of those terms that's not always self-explanatory, and really a matrix is an energy tied together by a belief system, a common goal, right? A common denominator of some sort that ties people together, that ties cells together, that ties aspects of ourself together. And matrix dynamics is really looking at the small aspects of self in our internal environment, how they get turned on, how they get triggered, how they can eventually impact physical health as well. When we get strongly attached to a belief system, for example, or a role in our life. And that begins to take over a sense of its own self within our microcosm. Eventually, of course, that can disrupt the flow of energy, whether that be mentally, emotionally, physically. And when we reach out into the broader spectrum of matrix dynamics, we're also looking at relationships in our life. So how does energy flow within a family dynamic, within a business dynamic, a sports team, for example, an association, right? How can we support, as practitioners, our client within these groups that they belong and their relationship to those groups as well?
Yeah, relationships. I mean, when we say that word, we tend to think about romance or family and stuff, but we have a relationship to so many things in our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that just as we can have a block of energy flow in our own body that affects physical symptom, we all know what it's like when energy doesn't flow well in a relationship. Between two people or between 20 people, you know that can cause challenges with communication, that can cause challenges with the outcome. What has brought these people together that can impact not only the client's relationship to the group, but the group's relationship to the client.
Yeah, that's so true. Although my brain thinking of a relationship with 20 people, I'm like, romantically, that would be very complicated. But hey, each to their own. But, whenever you get a group of people together, as soon as you get past that, a small number, then communication can break down very quickly.
Absolutely. And I think that, we learn so much from the relationships in our life because they show us so much about ourselves. And of course, so when we show up in a relationship, whether it's a practitioner with a client, rather it's a mother in a family dynamic, rather it's a member of an association, we bring our baggage with us. Essentially, we bring the things that we're working through. We bring our filters that we look through. to that group, and the way that we react and respond to them really comes ultimately from the things we're working through ourselves. And this is a wonderful class, I think, to really help us to identify where we get stuck, how those things show themselves up in our own internal landscape, but also how they're projected or reflected in our external landscape as well.
Yeah. So we're really giving an opportunity for a BodyTalk practitioner to really open up that wealth of impact for a client on working on those relationships and those dynamics.
Most definitely. Yes. And I think a greater understanding of, the reflections that we experience in the groups that we belong in, and, how the things that trigger us in our life teach us, how we identify, the reflection of, or the representation of a belief, for example, or a limiting viewpoint, and how relationships, whether they're internal or external, can help to open our mind to different perspectives, different ways of being, different ways of communicating.
Yeah. And maybe shift the dynamic so that it all gets a bit easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the benefit or side effect, I should say.
Yeah. So in the class itself, we're learning, I always kind of techniques always seems the wrong word, but we're learning tools to really help shift those groups and family and all those different dynamics.
Yes, as I said, there's really two parts to this class. We're first starting to take a look at how our body can represent our own beliefs. It's like a library of the rules that we've accumulated through our life of how we see ourselves and how we see the world, and how those beliefs, how those expectations, how those things that we identify with can show up physically in the body. How can that impact health and wellness? How can it impact our capacity to experience things differently? So we'll look at that from a personal standpoint in the client's own internal landscape, I suppose. And then we'll give some tools also to work with group dynamics, whether that's within family, family of origin, family of ancestry, the nuclear family that client has created. And we'll also take a look at what we call complex group matrices, which might be groups that they're involved with. So that client might be a member of a worship group, they might be a member of a sports team, or a book club, or a professional association, or a work group, employees, things like that where we can see this dynamic of relationship showing up in their life. We can also take a look at that, should that be the priority. So we have a variety of different tools that we take away from the weekend, especially as it relates to both the client and the client in relationship.
Yeah. And I think there's a sneaky benefit as well for everyone attending who's a practitioner, because the dynamic between you and your clients and your client base and the BodyTalk Association and everything else comes into all of this.
Absolutely. And every time we form a class, we form a very unique matrix. We have students who are attracted to that class. We all come together for a common goal, and it's a really beautiful thing, I think, to be part of in any class, but especially even as we're learning about matrices, to become perhaps more deeply aware of the unique connections that we form in a class together. So I love that about every class, but it's especially nice to see that when we're working with these very concepts and matrix dynamics.
Yay. Oh, I'm excited. So there are prerequisites. I can never say that word. Prerequisites for this class. Is it kind of, it's almost towards the end of the journey in a way, isn't it?
It is. Really, this is the culmination of material that we've taken through that core curriculum of the BodyTalk system. So obviously with any advanced course, students are required for the fundamentals and also the advanced procedures course. But beyond that, in this class, they're also required to have taken Module 3, Principles of Consciousness, and also Module 6, Macrocosmic Body Mind. Those are required prior to this class. We even bring in concepts, of course, that were introduced in Module 4 and 7. That one is not a prerequisite, but for those students who have taken that, they'll definitely see the overlap, of course, in this class as well. And we are using the tools from those previous classes here. They will all be incorporated in the new approach that we'll take with this class. So it really is tying together the curriculum of this system. And, I always say that BodyTalk is the medicine of relationship. We never work with one thing on its own. We're always looking at relationship communication, synchronization, and balance. And in this case, this is really the class about relationships internally and externally in our life and how we walk our talk as practitioners, how we experience that as individuals as well.
Yeah, there's no way that we could exist in life on our own.
Exactly. We've learned that since day one, that no entity exists unto itself, right? The underline of the whole BodyTalk system is that dynamic systems theory, where everything is in a dynamic interrelationship with every other aspect of this universe, if you will. And in this class, we're looking at that very dynamic, right? That this cannot exist unto itself. It's really the culmination of everything that we've brought together and brought forward through the studies of the system, and weaving it all together in this 2-day class.
Yeah. Cool. Can't wait for it to start.
Me too.
Is there anything else about the class that you want to mention or talk about?
I don't think so. I think that, one of the nice things about having the opportunity of learning online now through Zoom is that we can do this class on its own. It is a 2-day class. Oftentimes it was grouped with module 6 as well, just for travel convenience for instructors. When we bring an instructor in, it's easier for them to come for 4 days than 2 days, etc. But I think that having taught this for years and having learned this material myself, I really like having the opportunity to focus just on this 2-day course, just on the content of module 9, without also tackling the very brilliant content of module 6. So I like that. I think that the feedback has been great from students who really appreciate just being able to focus entirely on this new material.
Yeah.
In a 2-day class. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I think we have
squished.
Did we keep it as 2, Eloise, or 3? I apologize. I have a few of these classes booked.
This one is 2 days.
It is 2. Excellent.
It is happening. Why don't we talk about that? It's happening on Saturday, the 8th of October, 2022, and Sunday, the 9th. So the time is in UK time zone, and we'll be running from midday till 9 p.m. So it's going to be 2 fun days. And hopefully lots of people around the world will be able to make this time zone. So we might get
that'll work very well for North American time zones as well, I believe, and hopefully South Africa and our Central European friends.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we'll probably get another class with people from all over the place. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Which is always fun. So the early bird for the class, if you want to say $50, is the 16th of September. So if you do want to join us, you've got a bit of time yet, but that date will come around. So sign up if you want to join us. Yay. Cool. Well, thanks.
Thank you, Eloise. Thank you for coordinating another class. It's always a pleasure to work with you. And I look forward to our global matrix coming together for this class in October.
Yeah, see what we can create with this. Exciting. Anyway, thank you, Tracey. Any questions, anyone, my email is here, and you can drop me an email and we'll answer all your Qs if we haven't answered your Qs in this video. Anyway. Anyway, have a good day. Take care. Bye.
Bye.